Let's begin with the next blood cell, that is white blood corpuscle or leukocyte or white blood cell. In short, they are also known as WBC. Leukocyte, it is a Greek word which means white blood cells. Leukos means colorless or white and koitos means cell. WBC, they are colorless, they are nucleated, they are amoeboid, and they are bigger or larger than the RBC. Here, because it is showing the amoeboid movement, that WBC can come out, can squeeze out from the blood capillary wall by the process of diapediasis. Here, the size or the diameter of a WBC is approximately 8 to 15 micrometer, and the average lifespan of a WBC is of 3 to 4 days depending upon the types of WBC. Now here we know that the blood cells, they are formed by the process of hemopoiesis. Similarly, the WBC or the leukocytes, they are produced by the process of leucopoiesis in a various leukopoietic organs. In our body, we are having the various leukopoietic organs such as spleen, then red bone marrow, lymph node, then Peyer's patches. So these are the organs which are the site of synthesis of a WBC by the process of leucopoiesis. Now we are going to see what is leucopoiesis, how actually the that process of leucopoiesis takes place in the next slide. Now here, after completing its function and the lifespan, that leukocytes, they are dead, they are destroyed by the various organs. For example, it is destroyed in a blood, in a liver, and in the lymph node by the process of phagocytosis. Now, what is the phagocytosis? Phagocytosis means it is a process of killing and engulfing antigen or the foreign substances. That is called as a phagocytosis. So phagocytosis means killing and engulfing the dead bodies. Okay. Now the next is when we study the blood sample. Okay. When we study the count of a WBC in normal adult, the count of a WBC is approximately 5,000 to the 11,000 per cubic millimeter of a blood sample. If there is a decrease in the number of a WBC, then it is called as a leukopenia, and it is mainly in those patients who are suffering from the diseases such as HIV infection, AIDS, TB, or due to some radiations or due to some shock. Okay, that person will have the decrease in the count of WBC. Similarly, if there is a temporary, for the short period of time, if there is an increase in the WBC count, then that condition is called as a leukocytosis. It is called as a leukocytosis, and it is mainly found in the condition when the female is a pregnant, and it is also more WBC count is found in the newly born babies because both of them require the high immune power. Okay, but the next condition is what if the person is having uncontrolled division and uncontrolled formation of a more number of a WBC without any control, then it is called as a leukemia. It is a type of a blood cancer. And we know that WBC, white blood corpuscles, they are very important for us because they are the fighter cells. They are responsible for the defense mechanism. And if the count of WBC is normal in our body, means we have the well-defined defense mechanism to fight with the disease-causing organism. Now, the next point is that WBC, they are classified into two types on the basis of structure of nucleus and the pattern of cytoplasm. We are having the two types of WBC, that is agranulocyte and the granulocyte. Leucopoiesis. Leucopoiesis, it is a process of formation of a leukocyte. It takes place in a various leukopoietic organs. For example, in a red bone marrow, there is a presence of a hemocytoblast, and that hemocytoblast, it undergoes division and differentiation into the different types of a WBC. Now this types of a WBC, it again depends upon the type of which kind of stem cells they are. All leukocyte, they are originating from the hemocytoblast, but either myeloid or lymphoid stem cells. Myeloid stem cells, they will undergo division and differentiation to form myeloblast and monoblast, whereas lymphoid stem cell, it undergoes division and the differentiation into the lymphoblast. Now let's see the chart. Here we can see at the top stem cell hemocytoblast, which is present in the bone marrow cavity of a long bones. Now this hemocytoblast, it undergoes division and differentiation into the two types of stem cells. The first one is a myeloid stem cell and the second is a lymphoid stem cells. Now this myeloid stem cell, again it undergoes division and it forms the two types of new cells which are called as a myeloblast, and the second one is a monoblast. Now this myeloblast, it undergoes developmental pathway. It undergoes division, differentiation, development into the promyelocytes. And these promyelocytes again gets divided and differentiated into three different types of cells, such as eosinophilic myelocytes, neutrophilic myelocytes, basophilic myelocytes, which further undergoes development to form the eosinophilic band cells, which later gets converted into eosinophil. The neutrophilic myelocyte gets differentiated into the neutrophilic band cells, and the neutrophilic band cell gets developed into the neutrophils. And basophilic myelocytes, it undergoes development to form the basophilic band cells, which further develops into the basophils. Okay, so these are the three types of granular leukocytes such as eosinophils, neutrophils and the basophils, which are developed from the myeloblast of a myeloid stem cell. Now the second one, the monoblast, it undergoes what division and differentiation into the promonocytes, and this promonocytes gets developed into the monocyte. Monocyte, it is a type of a granular leukocyte. And the last one, that lymphoid stem cell, it undergoes division, differentiation into the lymphoblast, which further develop into the prolymphocytes, and finally that prolymphocytes gets developed into the lymphocyte. Okay, now here that lymphocyte further gets developed into the plasma cells. Some become plasma cells and the some gets differentiated into the other form, which we'll see in the next slide. And the monocyte, they are what here, they are also a type of granulocytes, which what few of them will become wandering macrophages for the phagocytosis. Granulocytes. These are the colorless, irregularly nucleated cells with polymorphism, means it exists in a variable form. These type of WBCs, they are with the granular cytoplasm and the nucleus is of a different shape. That's why it is also known as a polymorphonuclear leukocytes or PMN cell. As we know that this granulocyte, it shows different shape of nucleus. It is of a different lobes. Okay, in some type of a WBC, it is a multi-lobed nucleus. In some granulocyte, that nucleus is a twisted, and in some type of a granulocyte, the nucleus is a bilobe. So we can say that they are having the lobulated nuclei with a different shape. Now this granulocytes, as we have seen, it is produced from the myeloid stem cells, and this myeloid stem cells, by the process of what is leucopoiesis, once they are formed, they will not undergo division. Granulocyte, they are about 72% of the total WBC. They are having the granules, and these granules, they are the actually secretory vesicles which contain the various types of secretions, enzymes, etc. Now, depending upon the shape of the nucleus and the staining property that of a granules, that granulocytes, they are classified into three different types: neutrophils, basophils, and acidophils. In a granulocyte, the first type of a WBC is the neutrophils. Neutrophils, they are having the granules in the cytoplasm. That granules, they are very small in size, but they are more in number. They are evenly distributed in the cytoplasm, and it can be stained with the neutral stain, neutral dye. Neutrophils, they are about 70% of the total WBC. In the diagram, we can see that the cells, they are the spherical in a shape, and the nucleus of a neutrophil is a multi-lobed. Okay, it is a several lobed. That's why we can say that the neutrophils, they are the polymorphonuclear leukocytes, or they are also known as a polymorph. Here, the neutrophils, they are able to perform the amoeboid movement, means they can show the diapediasis, and it is a phagocytosis. Phagocytosis means killing and engulfing antigen. They are responsible for destroying the antigens by the process of phagocytosis. And at the time of what year? Pus formation, we get the pus. Okay, that pus is actually the mixture of a dead neutrophils and the damaged tissues and the dead microorganisms at the infected area. So here we have finished the neutrophils. Basophils, they are also called as the cyanophils. They are the type of granulocytes in which the cytoplasm, it shows the presence of granules in the WBC. In this type, that cells, basophils, they are showing presence of few granules, but they are bigger in size. And these granules can be stained with the help of what? Methylene blue. Now these basophils, they are the small spherical cells. They are non-phagocytic, and they are just about 0.5 to 1% of the total WBC. In this diagram, we can see that the nucleus of a basophil is a S shape, or it is a twisted. It is present in the, means the number of basophils increases during the infection or during allergic conditions, and here they are responsible for the secretion of heparin, histamine, and serotonin. Heparin, it is an anticoagulant. Histamine, it is an inflammatory protein, and the serotonin, it is a uh, substance which is produced during the, it is also called as a happy mood hormones. Okay, and it is also responsible for the constriction of a blood vessels. It is a vasoconstrictor. Eosinophils, they are also called as acidophils. Eosinophils, in the cytoplasm, it shows the presence of many fine granules which are lysosomal granules, and it can be stained with the red color acidic stain called as a eosine. As compared to the other type of a WBC, that eosinophils, they are 1 to 3% of the total WBC. In this diagram, we can see a very beautiful shape of the nucleus. That nucleus is bilobed, and this eosinophil, it can destroy the antigen antibody complex by the process of phagocytosis. Phagocytosis, we know that it means that killing and engulfing antigen. Here, the number of eosinophils, it gets raised or increased during the allergic conditions, and that eosinophils, it produces the antihistamine substance. Okay, that antihistaminic property means it is responsible for suppressing the इन्फ्लेमेशन। ओके, अगर एलर्जी होती है तो एलर्जी के जो सिम्टम्स है उन्हें कम करने का काम ये इओसिनोफिल्स करते हैं। दे आर आल्सो रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द डिटॉक्सिफिकेशन by producing antitoxins. Antitoxins means the substances which are minimizing the toxicity of हार्मफुल सब्सटेंसेस। जो टॉक्सिक सब्सटेंसेस है उनका जो टॉक्सिसिटी है वो कम करने का काम होता है इओसिनोफिल्स का। तो दैट इओसिनोफिल्स दे आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर रिड्यूसिंग द टॉक्सिक प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ अ टॉक्सिक सब्सटेंसेस by producing antitoxins. And last point under the eosinophil is eosinophilia. It is a condition in which the count of eosinophils it increases. A granulocyte, it is a type of a leukocyte which shows cytoplasm without granules. It is about 28% of the total WBC. Here, the agranulocytes, they are produced by the process of leukopoiesis from the lymphoid stem cells of lymphatic organ, and it can be divided by mitotically. In agranulocytes, the nuclei are large in size, but they are not lobulated, they are not lobed like granulocytes. Agranulocytes, on the basis of the shape of the nucleus, okay, they are divided into two types, lymphocytes and monocytes. Lymphocyte, it is a type of agranulocyte, means the WBC which is without granules in the cytoplasm. Lymphocytes, they are the smallest of all WBC. They are having a large spherical nucleus. It is about 25 to 30% of the total WBC. Now, here that lymphocytes, they are produced in the bone marrow cavity of a long bones, but depending upon the where it undergoes maturation and its function, we are having the two types of lymphocytes, B lymphocyte and the T lymphocytes. The B lymphocytes are the lymphocytes which are produced and they are matured in the bone marrow cavity, then it is called as a B lymphocyte, and it is responsible for the production of antibodies against the antigen. Antibody means what? It is a protein molecule which helps to trap the antigen. And it is also called as a humoral immunity. And second type of a lymphocyte which is produced in the bone marrow cavity but it gets mature in the thymus gland, then it is called as the T lymphocytes. And this T lymphocyte, it is responsible for the cell mediated immunity, means at the time of infection, when the body is infected by the antigen, then that T lymphocyte, it undergoes division and it will form the clones of a T cells, and these clones of T cells are helper T cells, killer T cells, memory T cells and the suppressor T cells. All they are having the different functions which helps for cell mediated immunity. Monocyte, it is a type of a granulocyte, means the cytoplasm of monocyte, it is without granules. It is largest of all WBC. It shows the presence of a large size nucleus with a bean shape or the kidney shaped nucleus. They are about 3 to 5% of the total WBC in the blood. Monocytes, they are actively motile and it can give rise to the macrophages. That macrophages, they are phagocytic in action. They are killing and engulfing the antigens. They are killing, destroying the bacteria, and that damaged tissues, they are engulfed by the macrophages by the process of phagocytosis. They are also known as a scavengers which cleans the dead bodies of antigens. In this slide, we are going to see what are the different conditions which are associated with the increase in the number of a certain type of WBC. The first one, basophil, it gets increased during the allergic conditions and during the leukemias. Leukemias, it is a type of a blood cancer. Then eosinophils gets increased during the allergic condition, during certain dermatological conditions, means skin related problems. Then eosinophilic esophagitis, idiopathic hypereosinophilic syndrome. Then during malignancy, some medication reaction, means what, because of some medicine, if there is any reaction, then that person will have increase in the number of eosinophil, or due to the parasitic infection also, that person will have the elevated or increased eosinophils. Then next type of a lymphocyte, lymphocytes gets increased during the acute or chronic leukemia. Leukemia, it is a type, it is a blood cancer, we know that. It also, lymphocyte also gets increased during the hypersensitivity reaction, infection by the virus, and pertussis. Pertussis means it is a whooping cough. Then next, monocyte. That monocyte gets increased during the autoimmune disease, infections such as Epstein-Barr virus, then fungal infection, protozoan infection, rickettsial infection, or the tuberculosis. And it also increased during the splenectomy. Splenectomy means what? It is a surgery in which entire spleen is removed from the body with the help of surgery. During splenectomy, that monocyte will increase. And then next, neutrophils gets increased during the bone marrow stimulation, or during the chronic inflammation, congenital infections, some medical treatment, medication induced, okay, reactivity. And again, in a splenectomy, you will find that that person is having the increase in the number of neutrophils.